Hey guys, welcome back. And I wanted to do another episode that's a little more serious than yesterday's about some issues that are a little bit near and dear to me that I've been dealing with even personally lately. There is a big problem that I've been noticing. And I just wanted to kind of rant a little bit today. You might find this one a little bit interesting. And I'll just get started. Identity politics. This seems to be something that has taken over almost every aspect of life and social media these days. But I want to say that it only serves to divide us into these tribal groups and alienate us from friends and neighbors. I've seen, many times, people that, were former friends, get really upset with me because I have a contrary opinion on their Facebook or on their social media. And I've seen it with others as well. It seems like there can't be any civilized debate anymore or discussion. If you disagree, you are just the enemy. I know it isn't as simple as left and right or liberal and conservative, but it seems like what it has come to, even though there's a huge silent majority in between, which I think is most people, there's a wide range of opinions on different topics out there, but we all think we're right. But the facts are that most people may be in the middle somewhere, and I'm even in slightly, in that middle part as well. I mean, I have some ideas that may be considered left, and I have some ideas that may be considered right. As seen in my previous videos, maybe you would think that I'm a complete right-wing guy. So I'm not a right-wing extremist. I'm not racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, transphobic, etc. I formulate my own opinions on every single issue individually, right? I don't formulate an opinion because one group of people has that view, and I agree with all of them by default. So let's take abortion and gun control as an example. Two very serious, people usually have opinions very one way or the other on these. So let's take those two items. My personal feeling out there is that there should be a choice. So when it comes to abortion, now don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating for late-term abortions like up to 40 weeks like some progressives in the US are. I would call that murder. My personal opinion is that at this stage, you're killing a baby. But on gun control, I think every household should have a firearm, providing, of course, they have the appropriate training. And at the very least, this should be the right of every single person in the country. I may tick some of the boxes on the right and some of the boxes on the left. But back to my point. To be part of the progressive left, when it comes to identity, I found that you must tick all of the boxes on the left column to fit in. So when it comes to the progressive left, if you're not part of them, you're against them. So surprise, all of you folks that are the silent majority in the middle, you're not part of the left. You are considered, the left considers you a right-wing Nazi. But cheer up, you're not a right-wing Nazi. Even when the progressives call you that, you're allowed to have a different opinion on a variety of different issues. So why don't people speak out about the sheer lunacy of the ideas out there today? I really don't understand this. The simple answer is that I've come to is cancel culture. Cancel culture and making enemies. With the cancel culture out here today, those in the middle stay silent. They just shut up and keep their heads down. And I found this even with some family members. Just shut up, don't risk anything, and just keep your head down and everything will be okay at the end of this. If you don't agree with all the progressive ideas on the left, which is actually the extreme left, then you're the Nazi. This has led to fear and people not saying anything. But the facts are, it's the progressive left that are behaving like the traditional Nazis and socialists. If they actually understood history, instead of trying to rewrite it all the time, maybe they would realize that. This was not unlike many of the experiences of people in, Stalin's socialist USSR communism was either. Our society is quickly becoming fascist and socialist in nature. Pick one. Either one isn't a good thing. We've given up personal responsibility and individual critical thinking for the dictatorship of collective progressivism. So to the people that disagree with the progressives and the dangerous oppressive ideas of today, like the lockdowns, and yet they say nothing. Let me quote something from a German man by the name of Martin Niemöller. He's a German theologian who was a Nazi supporter until he was imprisoned by the Nazis after having an opinion contrary to the Nazi party line. First, they came for the socialists, but I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the unionists, but I did not speak out because I was not a unionist. Then they came for the Jews, but I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. This is where the silent majority in the middle will find themselves one day. One of the reasons that we have these appearances of the crazed progressive liberals and these ultra-scared COVID protectionists like we do here today is because individual people are not willing to speak out. Individual people are willing to lie about almost anything. And the media is a prime example of this. And they lie not just to others, but even to themselves. I think most of the silent majority are lying to themselves when they tell themselves this will just go away if we don't say anything. Well, you're the frog in the pot of water, and the heat has been cranked up and it's almost boiling. People lie. They do this in the name of some virtue they feel when they're supported by their group identity. It's the moral failings of each person at the level of the individual that will be the cause of the upcoming disasters that we have coming. For example, the Great Reset. If you haven't heard about this and you don't know anything about this, do educate yourself in this. This isn't a joke or some stupid conspiracy theory. This is what thousands of multi-billionaire globalists talk about all the time and support. They arrive at these meetings in their private jets and their fancy vehicles, and with their billions of dollars, plan on cutting the power to you. Cutting you off at the knees. Just look into it. And if you don't believe that Trudeau thinks that this is a great idea here in Canada, and he's trying to make this some kind of a reality, you needn't look any further than his new carbon tax policies that him and his liberal cronies have passed. But I don't want to get too far off topic here. People will deny the truth these days. They'll put their head in the sand because of blind faith in their group collective, whatever that may be. COVID is another great example. You have the camp that believes that the mainstream media is telling the truth about COVID and that it is the greatest threat to humanity out there. But what is it based on? The mainstream media has completely stopped since the beginning of all this. They've completely stopped focusing on any data that is substantive and focused on the things that can create fear and panic amongst the public. That's it. That's news today. The focus is on all new cases. Never talk about anything that may seed doubt or give you pause to think that maybe you should look into this yourself. What they don't say is that there are a huge number of potential false positives. This is due in no small part to being short-staffed, partially due to poor policies within the health services, like sending healthcare staff back home when being exposed to COVID. All right. And the lack of experienced staff to conduct these COVID tests. What they don't tell you and they stay away from is that if the machines used for the testing aren't operated correctly, you can make almost every single test show up as a positive. So be careful on how it's used. If used incorrectly, it can show you a lot of false positives. There has also been a big push to get more positive results by encouraging parents of potentially exposed children at schools to have their children tested, thus adding to the great number of tests and the number of positives, right? Despite the fact that healthy children are the least at risk, and statistically, your children are probably have a better chance of winning the lottery, even though they can't play it, than dying. It's these omissions that are the concern with our progressive left media of today. I mean, why deliver bits of information to your audience instead of giving them the whole picture? We don't want them to see the whole picture. It's not ideal for you, the citizen, to be able to think for yourself. You should just be told what to think. I encourage you to find out. Do some research. You can easily find the information out there on the government websites. They don't even hide the statistics. They're out there. What they're counting on is that you don't ever look at any of those, and you aren't smart enough to actually look at simple statistics and do a quick, simple bit of math in your head. It isn't rocket science, people. If you have basic math skills, you can figure out what the truth really is. They just rely on the silent majority to continue being exactly that. Silent with their heads down. I think that the poem by Martin Niemöller best describes what the majority of people will feel one day. After we say and do nothing so that we are not at risk of being canceled, being fired in the here and now, without thinking about the consequences and what they will be in the future. Not unlike when a parent gives in to an unruly child with the excuse that it's just easier to give in to the child's unruly behavior. They're whining and crying. Just give them the candy. It's easier. They're satisfied and they shut up after that. We give the progressives what they want rather than put up a fight. Parents that have done this with their children have come to regret it later. And sometimes with it came dire consequences. This is not unlike what Jason Kenney just did recently here in Alberta, when he caved to the pressures of the media. But what he doesn't realize is there's a reason why you don't give in and negotiate with terrorists that are the progressive left and the media of today. They're no different than that bully on the playground. Next time they will attack you even more and with even less reason to, until you shut up and just do as you're told. The left, much like the fascists and the socialists of old, have no problems with violence if it means achieving their cause at any cost. You don't have to look any further than BLM and Antifa to see what animals these people are. They burn down cities without any regard for the individual that owns the property or the business. We saw this here in Alberta and in Innisfail, where people held a protest basically saying that all these people the entire town was racist. They didn't even know anybody in the town or anything about the town. Progressives are cannibals, and they eat their own as soon as they get an idea in their head that doesn't tick all of the progressive boxes on the left. Take a man like Douglas Murray, for example. He's a gay man, highly intelligent, wrote a couple books, and he believes in gay rights. He should be a poster child for the progressive left. But he's a bit too conservative for the left. So they've resorted to saying things like, he's not really gay. They will eat their own. They're capable of bashing in a stranger's head because they support Donald Trump. They're capable of killing police officers in the name of their cause, as seen in some U.S. cities. Thankfully, only in large crowds, though. They seldom have the courage to engage in violence one-on-one with a person of a different viewpoint. But put them in a group, and they can become dangerous. Make no mistake, progressives are dangerous. And their infectious ideas are dangerous to our children. The fact that schools praise children for having progressive ideas is horrifying. Yet they would never do that if they had a conservative idea. I would guarantee if your child came to school and said, I like guns, there would be no praise for little Billy. I'm sure that's due in no small part to the fact that the majority of teachers lean much farther to the left than any other occupation. The progressives have waged attacks on men being toxically masculine, or they've coined terms like toxic masculinity. Well, I'm going to coin a term myself. How about toxic progressivism? It's what we're seeing today with the erosion of critical thinking, individual identity and thought, the prevention of free speech and censorship, and the idea that censorship is a good idea for the greater good of humanity. Ideas that protecting someone's feelings are more important than protecting the truth and scientific fact above all else. We have allowed the spoiled children that have gone unchecked for too many years to have their tantrums and cancel people like Don Cherry for saying something that wasn't even offensive, while we supported that cowardly pile of crap sorry excuse for a human being, Ron MacLean, instead of shutting off our televisions. The vast difference between the progressive left and everyone else that speaks out against progressive ideas is that the left isn't at risk for their opinions. Nobody cancels the left for saying something inappropriate or something that's disagreeable. Making statements when you are not risking anything is pathetic and cowardly virtue signaling, not unlike what the left does today. Making statements and voicing your opinion when everything is at stake takes courage. And don't ever apologize for offending. We need to bring back reason again and think for ourselves. View people as individuals, not as groups. And it doesn't happen without people stepping out of their comfort zone and taking a risk. We need to speak out and say no to stupid ideas once again and get our freedom back. People, you need to say no, and you need to speak out, even though it risks someone being offended. We will never have our freedoms back. We risk losing everything if we say nothing. Thanks again, guys. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can get notified of any new episodes coming out. Should have another one here coming up soon. Hit the like button and make sure you leave your comments below. That really helps out with the old YouTube algorithms. Another episode coming very soon. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.